Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you a story. Picture a farmer standing at the edge of his field in early spring. The soil is soft, the air is warm, and the sun is just beginning to coax life out of the ground. It's planting season, the time to sow seeds that will grow into a bountiful harvest by fall. But this farmer, he hesitates. He looks at his seeds, his tools, the wide open field, and he thinks maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe I'll wait until I'm sure. By the time summer rolls around, his field is empty. No seeds planted, no crops growing. And when fall arrives, he's got nothing to harvest. He's begging for scraps while others are reaping the rewards of their labor. Now, here's the question. Are you that farmer? Are you standing at the edge of your own spring season, hesitating, waiting, wondering? Or are you ready to plant the seeds that will change your life? My name is Jim Rohn, and tonight we're going to talk about why most people waste their spring, the season of opportunity, and how you can cash in to build a life of abundance. Grab a notebook, open your heart, and let's get to work, because spring doesn't last forever. Let's start with a simple idea. Life comes in seasons. Just like nature, spring, summer, fall, winter, your life has its own rhythm, its own cycles. Spring is the season of opportunity. It's the time when the ground is fertile, when possibilities are endless, when the world says, here's your chance. What are you going to do with it? Spring could be your 20s, your 30s, or even right now, no matter your age. It's that moment when you feel a spark, a new idea, a fresh start, a chance to build something extraordinary. But here's the thing, spring is short. It's fleeting. You don't get to stay in spring forever. If you don't plant in the spring, you'll beg in the fall. That's not my opinion, that's a law of life. The farmer who misses planting season doesn't get a do over. The same is true for you. Opportunities come and go. The question is, are you ready to seize them? Let me tell you about my own spring. Years ago, I was in my mid-20s, broke, frustrated, and full of excuses. I had big dreams, but no crops growing. My mentor pulled me aside one day and said, Jim, life is giving you a spring season right now. You've got health, time, and a mind full of potential. But if you don't plant something, you'll have nothing to show for it. That conversation changed my life. I realized spring wasn't just a season on the calendar. It was a state of mind, a window of opportunity. And I decided to start planting. So what is spring for you? Maybe it's a new job opportunity. Maybe it's a chance to start a business, learn a skill, or rebuild a relationship. Whatever it is, spring is when you act. It's when you sow the seeds of effort, discipline, and vision that will grow into your future. But here's the problem. Most people waste their spring. Let's talk about why. Now let's get to the heart of it. Why do so many people miss their spring season? Why do they stand at the edge of their field, seeds in hand, and never plant? I've spent decades studying success and failure, and I've boiled it down to 5 reasons. These are the traps that keep people stuck year after year. Write these down, because if you see yourself in any of these, it's time to make a change. Here's the first truth. You can't plant if you don't know what you're planting for. Vision is the map that guides your efforts. Without it, you're just scattering seeds in the wind, hoping something grows. Most people waste their spring because they have no clear picture of what they want. They say, I'll figure it out later. But later never comes. Let me tell you a story. I knew a young woman named Sarah, bright and talented, but she drifted through her 20s. She'd try one job, then another, one hobby, then another, never sticking with anything. Why? She had no vision, no goal, no destination. One day I asked her, Sarah, what do you want your life to look like in 10 years? She stared at me blank. She'd never thought about it. That's the tragedy of a wasted spring. No vision, no direction. Here's a principle. Success starts with a dream. Not a vague wish, but a vivid picture. What do you want? A thriving business, a healthy body, a loving family. Write it down. Get specific. Because if you don't know what seeds to plant, you'll never sow anything worthwhile. Now, let's talk about the second trap, procrastination. Oh, this one's a killer. It's the voice that says, I'll start tomorrow. I'll plant next week. I'll wait until I'm ready. But here's the reality. You're never fully ready. Spring doesn't wait for perfect weather. The farmer who waits for the perfect day to plant will miss the season entirely. I remember my early days in business. I had an idea for a venture, but I kept putting it off. I needed more money, more knowledge, more confidence. Sound familiar? My mentor said, Jim, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. That hit me hard. Procrastination is just fear dressed up as patience. If you're waiting for the perfect moment, you're wasting your spring. Here's a question. What's one thing you've been putting off? A phone call, a new habit, a conversation, whatever it is, don't let procrastination steal your season. Start today, start small, but start. The third reason people waste their spring is poor preparation. Imagine a farmer who shows up to plant but forgets his seeds, his shovel, or his water. Ridiculous, right? Yet that's what most people do with their opportunities. They dive in without a plan, without the right tools, without preparing their mind or skills. Let me give you an example. Years ago, I tried to start a business with no real knowledge of sales or marketing. I thought enthusiasm was enough. I failed miserably. Why? I wasn't prepared. I hadn't studied the market, learned the skills, or built a plan. Enthusiasm without preparation is like planting in rocky soil. Nothing grows. Here's a principle: opportunity favors the prepared. If you want to cash in on your spring, you've got to do the work up front. Read books, take courses, talk to experts, build a plan. Preparation turns dreams into reality. Now here's the fourth trap: planting the wrong seeds. Not all seeds are created equal. You can work hard, plan every day, but if you're sowing weeds instead of crops, you'll end up with nothing but trouble. What do I mean by wrong seeds? Bad habits, toxic relationships, get rich quick schemes, spending your time on things that don't grow, scrolling social media for hours, chasing trends instead of building skills, hanging around people who drag you down. I once knew a man who spent his entire spring chasing one shiny idea after another. Network marketing, crypto, drop shipping. You name it, he tried it. But he never stuck with anything long enough to see results. He was planting weeds, not crops. Here's the thing: you've got to choose your seeds wisely. Focus on habits that build your future: learning, saving, exercising, connecting with the right people. Plant seeds that will grow into something valuable, not something that chokes your field. Finally, the fifth reason people waste their spring is they ignore the lessons of their past winters. Winter in life is the season of hardship, failure, loss, disappointment. We all go through winters. But here's the key: winter teaches you what not to do. If you ignore those lessons, you'll keep repeating the same mistakes in every spring. I'll never forget my first big failure. I invested everything I had in a deal that went south. Lost my money, my confidence, everything. But that winter taught me something: do your homework, trust your gut, and don't bet the farm on one idea. When my next spring came, I applied those lessons. That's how I turned things around. Here's a question: what did your last winter teach you? A job loss, a broken relationship, a bad decision. Don't let those lessons go to waste. Write them down, learn from them. Because if you keep planting the same bad seeds, you'll keep harvesting the same bad crops. These 5 traps: lack of vision, procrastination, poor preparation, wrong seeds, and ignoring past lessons, are why most people waste their spring. But you don't have to. You can choose differently. You can plant the right seeds at the right time in the right way. Let's talk about how. Now let's get practical. How do you cash in on your spring? How do you make sure you're planting seeds that will grow into a rich, abundant harvest? I'm going to give you 5 steps, 5 principles that will help you turn opportunity into results. These are not quick fixes. They're disciplines for a lifetime. But if you apply them, you'll never waste a spring again. You can't plant without knowing what you're growing. That's why the first step is clarity. What do you want? Not what your parents want, not what society expects, but what you want. A thriving career, financial freedom, a healthy body, a legacy for your family. Get specific, write it down. Let me tell you a story. When I was 25, I was drifting. No goals, no direction. My mentor sat me down and said, "Jim, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there." He made me write down my goals, 10 of them, big and small. That simple act of clarity changed everything. It gave me a target. Here's your assignment tonight. Before you go to bed, write down 5 goals for the next 5 years. Be bold, be specific, because clarity is the first seed you plant in your spring. You wouldn't plant a crop without preparing the soil, right? The same goes for your life. Before you act, you've got to learn, study the game, get the tools, build the skills. When I started in sales, I was terrible. I talked too much, listened too little. But I invested in myself, read books, attended seminars, practiced every day. That preparation turned me into a top performer. Here's a principle: your life gets better when you get better. Start small. Read 10 pages a day of a good book. Listen to a podcast, take an online course. Preparation doesn't have to be expensive, but it does have to be intentional. What's one skill you need to learn for your goals? Start working on it today. Here's where most people get stuck. They wait for certainty. They want a guarantee that their seeds will grow. But life doesn't work that way. Spring is about action, even when you're not sure. Let me tell you about a friend of mine, John. He wanted to start a small business, but was terrified of failing. For years, he planned, but never acted. Finally, I said, John, just start. Open the shop. Make the call. Do something. He did. It wasn't perfect, but that first step led to another, then another. Today, he's thriving. Here's a truth: action creates clarity. You don't need to see the whole path, just the next step. What's one action you can take tomorrow to move toward your goals? Do it, even if it's small, because action is the fertilizer that makes your seeds grow. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That's not just a saying, it's a law of life. If you're surrounded by people who complain, who settle, who waste their spring, you'll do the same. But if you surround yourself with winners, people who dream big, work hard, and lift you up, you'll soar. When I was stuck, I sought out mentors. I found people who were already where I wanted to be. Their ideas, their energy, their example, it rubbed off on me. Here's a question: who are you spending time with? Are they planting seeds or pulling weeds? Seek out the right people. Read the right books. Listen to the right ideas. Your spring depends on it. Planting seeds is just the beginning. You've got to tend the field. Check the soil, pull the weeds, water the crops. In life, that means monitoring your progress and adjusting your approach. I once started a project that seemed promising, but 6 months in, it wasn't working. I could have kept going out of stubbornness, but instead, I stepped back, evaluated, and pivoted. That adjustment saved me years of wasted effort. Here's how you do it every week. Review your goals. Ask yourself what's working, what's not, what do I need to change? Be honest. Be flexible, because the farmer who doesn't tend his field loses his harvest. These 5 steps: clarify your goals, learn and prepare, take consistent action, surround yourself with the right people, and monitor your progress, are how you cash in on your spring. They're not easy, but they're worth it. Let me tell you a story. A young man I met years ago was stuck in a dead-end job, feeling like his spring was slipping away. He applied these principles. He set a goal to start his own company, learned the skills, took action by launching a small product, found mentors, and adjusted when things didn't work. Today, he's not just surviving, he's thriving. His spring became his harvest. Yours can too. Ladies and gentlemen, let me leave you with this: your spring is happening right now. It's not next year, not when you're older, not when you have more money or time. It's today. Every day you wake up, you have a chance to plant seeds that will grow into the life you want. But you've got to act. You've got to choose. If you don't plant in the spring, you'll beg in the fall. That's not a threat, it's a promise. The world doesn't care about your excuses. It rewards the farmers who sow, who work, who persist. So here's my challenge to you. 1, tonight, write down one goal that excites you. Make it clear. Make it bold. 2, tomorrow, take one action toward that goal. Call someone. Read something. Start something. 3, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, because together we grow stronger. Your spring is waiting. Don't waste it. Plant the seeds of vision, discipline, and action today, and I promise you, your harvest will come. Subscribe for more ideas to live your best life, and let's go make it happen. The world is watching. What are you going to do with your spring